Hello and welcome to the West Yorkshire Football Show. It's the instant match reaction to Leeds United 0, Blackburn Rovers 1. Disastrous result for the Whites. The context to it is that Leicester played Plymouth last night and lost, which almost felt like a bonus result for Leeds. Big opportunity for Leeds. Don't forget, Leeds are the ones that have got to catch up Ipswich and Leicester, and they've lost today somehow. I mean, we're going to get into it. I'm Stephen Brown, with me as ever for the post-match reaction. We're back doing these again, which is really good. Looking forward to well, I say looking forward to.
We were looking forward to it, weren't we,
mate? To get the therapy kind of out of the way. But if you watch it along, please do smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. I'm both exasperated, deflated, upset, thinking about the playoffs. I'm just kind of, I don't know what I've just seen in that 90 minutes, Jason, because for me, it started off bright. It started off buzzing. It felt like games from pre-international break. It felt like we had a bit of zip in the performance. We got changes in the starting 11 that we're going to pour over. That all felt like a positive step, barring one for me, which I'll get into later. And for the first 25 minutes, 30 minutes, I was thinking, this is the old Leeds. This is what we're about. This is what we do. We dominate possession. We kind of grind it out. We break teams down, and we eventually get that goal. And then the longer it went on, suddenly Blackburn are getting these bits of opportunities on the break. The second half, really, I don't even know what the second half was. I mean, it seemed to just kick off, and suddenly it was the 60th minute, and then it's the 70th minute, and then they score, and the game's gone. Your opportunity's missed. I mean, Jason, your reaction to it, mate?
I mean, I need to give a few disclaimers because I'm going to say a few things that people are not going to like today, I think. First off, I'm just hearing that the crowd were booing profusely at full time. I think that's a disgrace. Regardless of today's performance, regardless of, whatever you think of losing against Blackburn, the facts are is that we've had a hell of a season, and that's the first time that we've lost at home all season, and we're in April. Now, I understand it's a terrible time to have a blip or a drop in form or whatever you want to call it, but the things that the fans, I'm saying this to a small select amount of Leeds fans that are going to see this, and it'll make no difference whatsoever, but I'm going to say it anyway. If you think that is helping this young bunch get through this situation that we're in at the moment, I can't help you. You're just a moron, basically, because the fact is that right now this team are feeling the pressure, they're feeling the weight, they're feeling the weight of the badge, the shirt, the Ellen Road crowd. After 20 minutes, straight away the fans were on the back of the players today, I thought. After that first initial kind of surge that we had where we played all right, they weren't helping. They weren't helping the players. And for me, that is part of the job of the fan, of the supporter, is to help the player, especially at Ellen Road, get over the line. I'm not saying it's their responsibility. It's a 50-50 street. The performance has to come to give them that as well. So, when you're in a relegation battle or when you see players not trying, that's different. I can understand that. But that's not what this team is. They're a young bunch that have achieved loads this season. So, anyway, I got that out of the way. Secondly, the team, as it set out today, I wasn't surprised to see changes. I thought Nonto would come in. I felt like that was an almost a guarantee. And I felt like probably the rest of the team would stay the same. Connor Roberts getting a start makes sense. He was brought in as the out-and-out right back, allowing Archie Gray to either be an option midfield or go and play in midfield. But truthfully, with the exception of Chelsea away in the Cup, we've not seen a great midfield performance from Archie Gray. So we're a little bit shocked to see Kamara dropped because everything alongside Gruev goes through him. So it was a big responsibility. But I understand the talent. I'm not saying that was a bad decision. The decision up front, which I know you kind of want to get into, you've got a slightly different take on it to me. It feels to me like Daniel Farke went against everything that he said that he wouldn't do, in that he wasn't going to listen to fans, the 1,000 managers of fans that are out there. It was a terrible call, and it's been proven then afterwards to drop Bamford for Perot. As you said before we came on, we saw earlier on in the season, it didn't work as well. We brought Bamford into the fold in January, and that's where this run started. He is the best option we've got in number 9 in this system. Fans need to get a grip of it. This last 3-4 games where he's had some mediocre performances has just made fans lose their minds. And he's the easy scapegoat because, well, I don't know why. I don't really understand why he gets so much flack. He misses too many chances, fine. But look at Patson Daka yesterday. All strikers miss chances, especially in the Championship. So for me, that was a terrible call because come the 70th minute today, the centre-backs had an easy game, mate. Because Pirro doesn't occupy them in the same way. He drops deep and he gets in Gio Rutter's way. And then we end up crowding pockets of space that Gio works so effectively in. They don't work together. It's as simple as that. So do not start Pirro over Bamford. If Pirro starts, he starts over Rutter. He starts in the 10. He doesn't start as a 9.
Well, this is exactly. As soon as I saw that team sheet, because I was out and about, and then I saw your text on the group saying, "Oh, the changes that people have been clamouring for," and then I looked, and I'm like, "Well, Pirro, I've not been clamouring for Pirro to start. Pirro, Pirro for me has been pretty much shocking. Every substitute appearance he's come on, he's been poor. He missed a golden opportunity to equalise against Coventry last week. It doesn't work with Pirro and Rutter, whether they swap positions or one goes up front for a bit." That experiment has failed. That experiment has completely failed. So when Pirro came in today, I wasn't kind of excited at that. I just thought, nah, we've seen this all season. I actually thought the Roberts and the Nonto change was really positive. And I actually felt Nonto was the fresh impetus we needed today. I thought Nonto was fantastic. Clearly, man of the match. Don't know why he got taken off, to be honest, because he looked absolutely fine to me. I thought that was the fresh impetus it got. But for me, Pirro, I mean, it's really difficult with Pirro because we saw it again today. He drops a little bit deeper. He kind of picks the ball up, half turns, and he knocks the ball out wide. And, you know, it's that thing where it just doesn't seem to work with what we're doing. It doesn't seem to work. For me, if you're going to drop Bamford, if you're going to give Bamford a break, get Joseph in as a like for like. I don't understand. I just don't understand why, if you drop Bamford, you're going to then bring Pirro in. That actually changes the kind of way we operate. I mean, Joseph is the closest like for like for Bamford. And I would have loved to have seen Joseph get his opportunity today. Someone who's aggressive, someone who can, you know, beat the last man, someone who can, you know, do those things, not about dropping deep, can stretch the defences. I mean, the amount of times that Pirro got caught offside or Rutter got caught offside in that first, you know, it's like none of them knew how to watch the line. I just don't understand. It's like, yes, okay, I'll make the changes, but then I'm just going to kind of revert to type, and then I'm going to bring Pirro back in based on zero evidence for months. Whereas you've got this other guy, Matteo Joseph, scoring goals with limited minutes, scored 2 against a Premier League outfit, Chelsea. For me, he's far more deserving of a like-to-like replacement. Now, I agree with you. I actually think I would have preferred to have seen Bamford start than Pirro come in, than seeing Pirro and Rutter. And I think I do agree with you. I think the criticism of Bamford, I think it for me, it's been skewered. He misses too many chances. He missed that one today. We know what he's about. But his general play and the way he works helps us.
The thing
for
is,
me,
Brownie, right?
It had to be Joseph today. It had to be Joseph today.
But Brownie, with Joseph, what take Chelsea out of it? Cup game. I know I'm trying to kind of create a narrative, if you like, here, right? But take the cup game out of it. What have you seen that proves that Joseph should start games and be able to, and he's going to be able to deal with a defender like McFadzean as an example over the period in game, the game state from start to 60 minutes? Because that's the argument, is that Joseph should start because of what we've seen when he comes on and influences games, right? That isn't evidence that he's going to give us what we need from the start of the game. I'm not saying that he can't do it. What I'm saying is that we haven't actually seen it.
That's the problem, though, Jason. We don't know until we give him the opportunity.
Is now the time to do that?
Yeah, but we've seen Pirro and Rutter how many times? We've seen that story play out. We know what we get with Pirro and Rutter.
Well,
And we've
this is
seen
the
it
argument
again
of whether
today.
that's the argument of whether he should have started over Pirro or not. Because my argument is that there shouldn't have been a change there. Like for me, especially midweek, I thought Bamford
agree with that.
I thought Bamford was good against Sunderland. People don't want to wear it; they don't want to accept it. And I know he misses chances. But we had this argument when we got promoted. We had this argument in the playoff losing season. The team operates better when Bamford is in the team. Simple as that. I can see you frowning at some of the comments. Yeah, just chill, guys. I understand that we're all emotional and stuff, but let's not get into anything racial or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like Gail, like the talk often is about Bamford because just like under Bielsa, the team operates so differently when Bamford is in there to when he's not, right? And the facts are today, the fans got what they wanted, regardless of whether the change was the right change or not. Let's just say for a minute, the fans wanted to see changes. They got to see changes. And guess what? It made no difference. No difference. People were saying that it were a better first half because of the changes. It wasn't. It was a better first half because they were picking the pace up of the ball a little bit. They were spraying it around a little bit quicker. They were individually playing better. I'd say Nonto made a difference over Dan James, which I'd expect because he's a better player. Yeah, and especially against a low block, he makes more sense. It's just common sense. But the facts are is that over the first 60 minutes, 70 minutes, if Bamford had been in that team, we'd have been set up better to win the game late than we would have been if Pirro started.
That's what I mean. That's what I think. That's what I think. I think there was the Roberts and Nonto gave us a kind of fresh kind of impetus. Keep saying this over and over again, but I felt like they gave us kind of that bit more dynamism, something a bit different. And I actually think you've kind of hamstrung yourself then because you're doing the Pirro and Rutter thing. It's like I agree with you. I don't necessarily think you needed to change Bamford. My argument is if you're going to change Bamford, do it for someone who's going to be able to at least replicate or we don't know what we're going to get with Joseph over 90 minutes. This is the thing, you see. It's the unknown. And I think sometimes, listen, we talk about teams and can you trust youth players? And, we've said this a lot.
We've done it to death, haven't we?
We've done it to death where, JB and this and that. And, there was a big clamour for when Gellart, broke in the team. Why is he not starting? Why is he not starting? Yeah. I get annoyed because for me, Joseph looks ready. He looks 100% ready. It's also the way he carries himself. So when he's on, and like today, he pulled Firpo away from something. Yeah. Firpo's niggling about something. He seems to have gone up a level. I would like us to explore that as a team. I would like us to kind of go, all right, let's give him a chance. A massively kind of different example, but look at Barcelona playing all those youngsters now against PSG and getting a result. Sometimes you've got to trust the youth. Sometimes you have actually got to go, okay, let's give it a go.
But Browney, sorry to interrupt you. This team is extremely young. It's the second youngest team in the division, and we find ourselves in the title battle. So if you have got the opportunity to play one or two senior experienced players, you take that if they're good enough. So I hear you, but throwing another one in there when you really don't need to at this stage of the season, it's potentially so dangerous. Like you're playing with fire. Sure, fans can then argue back saying, well, you're playing with fire, playing Bamford anyway, blah, 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 because we're not getting the results. I hear that, but you're still better to go with the tried and trusted. I've seen a couple of comments I just want to respond to. First off, Gail, I'm not saying that I'm a huge Bamford fan. You go back and watch some of mine and Browney's videos. I said that last season when he was coming back from injury, he was done. He was absolutely done. You could see it in the way that he was running. He wasn't fully fit. I didn't think he'd ever make it back. But the facts are is that this season, 2024 especially, he's come back and he's made a massive difference to our side. You're lying to yourself if you say that he hasn't. And Skip said, what's Bamford done in the last 10 games? Skip, I can't help you if you're choosing not to watch him in the game. It's so too many fans are obsessed with goals and assists, and I get that that's important, but some players bring way more than just the goal. or just the assist. You know, Ilya Gruev, as an example, is a midfielder. On paper, he's never going to get an assist, but he plays a huge part in the team. Strikers are not out-and-out goal scorers in the way that they used to be. This is not the days of Teddy Sheringham, Andy Cole, Alan Shearer. You don't have that kind of striker in the same way anymore. Sammy Szmodics, as an example, he scored 24 goals this season from a number 10 position. He doesn't play as the 9. Sam Gallagher, who's playing alongside him, will play most of the game at right back. He's an out-and-out target man. He scored 4 goals all season. So it's different, and people get so hung up today. Just in general, they get so hung up. Jason, should he have scored today? He has one header. Maybe he should score, but you know what? At this level, Championship strikers miss chances all the time.
Well, also, I mean, another argument in favour is how much should we create for Bamford over? I mean, you know, we talk about him missing golden chances. How many chances do we even create for him? He gets he gets probably one big chance a game or something. It's like we're not putting things on a plate for him all the time. You know, it's not like, you know, a Haaland situation where he gets 15 shots at, you know.
And how many chances does Haaland miss?
Misses loads.
And I mean, I love Haaland. What a player. He's one of the best in the world. But my word, Haaland misses so many chances. So many chances.
I just think the gut instinct of fans who watch the game, the clamour for Joseph, I think it's legitimate, and I get it. And I think if you were dropping Bamford today, my argument is if you're gonna drop Bamford, you get Joseph in. And I don't
disagree with that. I don't disagree with
Would
that.
Would you have preferred Joseph to have started today ahead of Pirro?
If Bamford was injured,
yeah,
just say per se, right? Say that's the argument. I would start Joseph as his direct replacement because Pirro doesn't do the same job. He hasn't got the pace to stretch it out. If you do go long, he doesn't press well enough. I don't think he's great at linking. His first touch is a bit funky. He's an out-and-out finisher. He's a little bit like Szmodics, just not as mobile, because he comes from deep and occupies in different positions. The last comment I just want to say is about Skip there. He wouldn't start for Leicester or Ipswich or Southampton. Yes, he would. He would play for all of them. The only one that I would probably argue that he wouldn't would be Southampton, because they've got other out-and-out strikers that would probably play. I think Shay Adams is very similar to him. Doesn't score a lot of goals, but
that's why we tried to sign him, didn't we, for about 10 years?
And Adam Armstrong is an inside forward, comes off the wing. He played for Leicester. Look at what Leicester fans say about Patson Daka. Go and watch Patson Daka last night.
Yeah.
And Ipswich, he absolutely plays for Ipswich. He plays every week for Ipswich because, again, and I mean, since Kiefer Moore's come in, he scored a few goals, but Kiefer Moore's not a goal scorer. Go and look at his tally, even in the Championship. And George Hurst, who we replace, not a particularly good goal scorer. He absolutely plays over both of them. It's this bias that we get through watching these players every week. And now that Bamford hasn't started, there'll be somebody else that gets it today. And I'm telling you, it'll be Daniel Farke. It'll be Daniel Farke that gets it tonight. And some of it will be justified. And you know, we'll probably talk about some of that over the next 5 minutes or whatever. But a lot of it will be unjustified as well, because there'll be some wild reactions, sack him, like he should be winning league by 20 points. And
I mean, any talk of sacking is, I mean, it's ludicrous, isn't it? We don't even have to acknowledge that as a thing, because it's just preposterous. But I mean, what this run of form we're on now, Jace, I mean, it just feels like, I mean, it's just extraordinary, isn't it? I mean, we've now won 1 in 5 games. If you look at the last 5 games, we're on the worst run of form out of the top 3 now. With that,
in the last 5,
in the last 5, which is basically post international break. It's the most critical part of the season. We fought so hard to close this gap. Leicester and Ipswich are a million miles away from us, and we've gone through that unbeaten 2024 to pull it back, and now we're just. I mean, it's just. I mean, it's crumbling, isn't it? I mean, it's hard to know where to level your criticism, because on the one hand, you're going, we know how the season worked out. We had a poor start, a slow start, things weren't sorted out. So there was this massive gap immediately. And we worked probably 3/4 of the season to pull it back. And now at the most crucial time, we just seem to be completely, I don't want to say bottling it, but we're just, the mental pressure or something is just getting to us. I don't know. But the thing is, everybody's fighting for something. Blackburn are fighting for something. They knew what they were doing today. Deep block and then counter attacks, and they threatened to score before that, even in the first half. Melier pulling off a great save. It's one of those situations where I don't even know how critical you can be, because it's just.
Can I be straight with you? I think it's two things, right? The game state of this situation, this stage of the season, is totally different. We're playing teams that are setting up from minute one. I don't know, 10 yards off their goal line. They're literally just sitting back, and breaking down 10 players behind the ball is extremely, extremely difficult. That's why you see freak results in FA Cup games or, and whatnot, where you're talking the levels being 4 or 5 leagues. At this stage, you're talking about someone at the bottom of the division playing someone at the top of the division.
Yeah.
So the gap isn't chasmic. It's not, it's not leagues apart. So these teams have got a lot to play for, and they're coming, setting up all week. They're planning, how do we keep Leeds United from scoring? That's their sense of achievement, right? They'd have been buzzing with a 0-0 draw today. Yeah, that's the way that they're setting up. So when earlier on in the season, 20 games ago, teams are not setting up like that. They still want to try and win games. Yeah, they still want to try and win games. Second to that, I don't think we're playing that differently. I don't think we're playing any worse than we were 6 or 7 games ago. The key moments in the game are just going against us, where they were going for us before. Yeah. So previously, 10 minutes in, Junior Fopo would whip across and it'd bounce off a defender and it'd fall to Somerville, or it'd fall to Rowe, or it'd fall to Pat, and they'd tap it in. Now, the ball's bouncing back, bobbling, and going out for a corner. Yeah, so they're the differences that are making the differences in the game. We've won games that we've played way worse in than today. Way worse. But the only thing that matters to what the average fan sees as that performance is the goals scored against the goals against column. When we score early, the game is totally different because we're so good at controlling games. And when we don't score early, especially at home, the tension ramps up.
The classic example of that was when Leeds played Millwall a couple of weeks ago, and Nonto bangs that one in. And today he did a similar shot, great shot, but it didn't go in. And then suddenly, that day wasn't too dissimilar to today at all.
The whole performance, I would say, was worse than today, but we got out of it because of a little moment where Cree did the defender. He took him out. God knows what he was doing, Slater. And it gave us a penalty. And that's what won us the game. So fans are losing it over these performances. I don't think they are that different to what we're winning as games 3-4 weeks ago. The moments are just not going for us in the same way that they were before.
See, what I think is, he absolutely, for me, needed to freshen things up against Sunderland. I would like to have seen a little bit of a shake-up in the Sunderland game. I think Coventry was, like we said, it was lacking tempo. But when you actually look at it, Coventry didn't create that much. Watford, we were not right at it. Hull was a difficult game for a long, long period of that. It just feels like it's really turned. And today, for me, I agree. I don't think that was a dissimilar performance to what we've seen countless times at Ellen Road. But today we lose it. But I mean, Jason, how damaging is it? I mean, Leicester lose last night, and you've got this massive opportunity to do it. I don't know. I'm just I just can't believe that it's that we've lost as well. I mean, it's just staggering because, like I said in the intro, we're the ones who have to, it might only be a point, but we're the ones who have to make it up.
I think today's pretty damning. I don't want to be, it's not over. It's definitely not over. I don't want to be the kind of negative mongering kind of fan. That's not my style. I always try and see it objectively without bias and emotion. But I think given the games that we've got to come, given the games that the opposition, as in Leicester and Ipswich, have got to come, I think that it is unlikely that we finish in the top 2 now, simply because Ipswich, it depends on what they do today. Again, I mean, we've seen how crazy it's become at this stage of the season. We've let Leicester off the hook again, but Leicester
so
Leicester, but the thing is, Browney, right, and we have to remember this as Leeds fans. Leicester fans will be having the exact same conversations after the last 2 games. They've lost to Millwall and Plymouth, who were both extremely relegation threatened. You know what I mean? We've played both Millwall and Plymouth. We've Plymouth several times this season. They're both terrible, especially Millwall. Millwall are awful. And Leicester, I mean, they were a bit unlucky at times yesterday, but they'll be saying exactly the same things that we've let Leeds off the hook. Imagine if we'd have won yesterday, Leeds have lost today, would have been outside, blah, blah, blah. That's what they'll be saying. Yeah. So it's not over when all 3 teams are saying the exact same thing. The big difference and the big kind of curveball in all this is that Ipswich are so... I don't think Ipswich are playing under the same pressure. They've not got the same kind of expectation over them from the fan base. The Ipswich fans, if you watch them when they're at home, they are right behind them every single minute.
That atmosphere is there, in it, all the way through.
And that's what I was referring to at the beginning of the stream. I'm not trying to hate on Leeds fans when I say that. Ellen Road's a hard place to play at times. It's a great place to play at other times as well, you know, when the emotion's bubbling. But at times, we make it harder for the players. I've had my opinion on this before. Not to go on Karen Carney on her. She was stupid for what she said. But lockdown and no fans, it helped some of these boys. And I include Patrick Bamford in that too. Especially in the Premier League. I include Patrick Bamford in that. Because not having that hangover of the fans' weight of expectation over... You know, the Sky cameras were panning around the fans today after 25 minutes.
Oh, it was like this, wasn't it?
Fans are like this, like 25 minutes in.
Before the game, there was one where they went to the game and the guys like...
25 minutes in, like...
I mean, the thing is, I mean, I can't say... I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say I'd be any different, though, because I'm that kind of fan where...
It's what we're like.
My rational head goes out the window. I don't have any rationale when it comes to Leeds. I'm just like, why aren't we winning this game? You know, so I can understand it, but it's that expectation, isn't it? You're absolutely spot on, because the talent we've got, the bench we've got, you look at that bench today, you're like, we can't score 1 goal against Sunderland and Blackburn, who both conceded 5 goals in recent games. I'm like,
it's inexperience, Brownie. It's the inexperience that's hampering this team. Because none of them, bar the odd exception, you know, of experience within this team, have been in this position before. You know, this amount of games, this amount of expectation, this amount of pressure when they're stepping onto the football pitch. Earlier on in the season, when we're seeing Gio and Somerville and Nonto doing the dances and let's go and all that, they're all enjoying it. Now, it's serious.
It's hard, isn't it?
Yeah, it's hard. And then it's not fun anymore. You know, they are trying to win for the sake of winning them 3 points rather than just playing football. Yeah. So it's tough. It is tough. But it's not over, mate. It ain't over. I do think we will probably end up finishing 3rd now. I thought we had to win this game, given the games that we've got. I think QPR Middlesbrough away are 2 really, really tough games.
Would you really want to be playing Southampton as well? Needing something against Southampton? Oh,
I think Southampton at home is a bit of a one-off game. Last game of the season. I think that's going to be so atmospheric if we're still in with a chance that it'll probably end up helping rather than hindering, I think. But these next 2 games, especially QPR away, very, 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 very tricky.
Yeah, I love this one, and it's following on from what you said about Canny. Any chance of a new COVID variant to help us get us promoted from Emo, though? I absolutely love that. It's... Should we get into some performances then? Should we have a look at kind of what some of our guys did?
Just first, definitely we can do that, right? But Nigel's just said Bamford shouldered 2 chances instead of heading it. Straight away, I mean, again, Nigel might have been here from the beginning. I don't know, but I've not seen him comment beforehand, right? But why is the natural reaction just to go to Bamford? Why is that? What about Gio? What about Pirot? What about Gruev missing a tap in at the front post? Like, I know Bamford's the striker, right? But he's not a finisher. He's not in that team to finish chances, right? That isn't... I saw somebody say that I think it was Skip, further up said he gets paid to score goals. No, he doesn't. He doesn't. Like, that's part of his job.
The problem for me, I think, Bamford, I think it's reputation that hurts him in this situation. So people automatically go, why hasn't he put that in the back of the net? And then, you think of the missed penalties that he had in the Premier League that were really costly. And the fact that for me, he didn't play well for a couple of years at least. He's had loads of injuries and he's never been a great finisher. Last time we were in the Championship, he missed loads and loads of chances then. So I think it's that reputational thing of immediately we look at that, we look at the goal score and go, look, that chance today, I said it on the group, typical Bamford, but it's tricky and it's the only sniff he had at goal. And I don't think
over a defender.
Yeah.
And he's trying to arc it back on goal. I'm not saying that he shouldn't get it on target, but again, if that were Joseph in that position, nobody would be mentioning it. Nobody would even mention it. I am not a huge Bamford fan. I come across as this massive Bamford advocate, right? But what I know is that over the years, all of the managers have still chosen to pick him. And when I watch my team play, we play better when he's in there than when he's not, given the replacement that comes in for him. That's it. In the summer, I said we need to replace him. We need 2 strikers. We signed Pirro and I was hoping we'd sign another one. If we go up, I absolutely do not want Patrick Bamford anywhere near the starting lineup. Yeah. Nowhere near. I want to make that clear. But given what we've got, he's always the player that ends up getting the criticism. And we do it with other ones as well. If Bamford had not started today and Cooper had started and we'd have lost 1-0, Cooper would have got it.
Yeah.
It's just the way that we are as a fan base for some reason.
No, I know it's definitely that reputational thing. I think absolutely. I just think that he's going to earn his money as Farker in this next few weeks. It's absolutely huge because look, we found ourselves in a situation where we're going up against Ipswich for this automatic place and Leicester as well, but Leicester came down from the Premier League. Now that we've hauled ourselves back into this situation, if we get pipped by Ipswich, what is going on there when you consider the managerial experience, the players, the budget? I know football doesn't work on a spreadsheet, but I think this was my expectation. Remember when Ipswich had that wobble early? I was like, right, okay, great. This is our time to kind of take it over. I think if the fact that Ipswich are dropping points and we're not able to put this right, I don't know. I'm kind of just spitballing here, but I'm just trying to think. Are we doing enough here? We're clearly not doing enough. I'm frustrated that we're not being able to. We should pip Ipswich, right? We should be able to get ahead of Ipswich in this situation, surely.
I think there's a couple of things with that. I think we touched on it previously about the expectation. Ipswich clearly are a good side. We can't say now after 42 games that they're not a good side or that they've not got good players. They're not also coached extremely well because they obviously are. But I would say that the expectation is different. They're playing with no real stress or pressure attached to this, I don't think. I think, even if they fail in the playoffs, it'd still be an unbelievable season for a recently promoted League One side. So they don't have that weight of expectation on them. They do have some experienced and talented players in there. They also have the experience of getting promoted last season. And that momentum and everything has carried on. A little bit like when we finished 9th in the Premier League after getting promoted. There's a certain amount of kind of momentum that carries. I remember when we finished 7th in the Championship after finishing 2nd in League One. We did exactly a similar kind of thing. You could have argued with a couple of signings that season, we'd probably go straight up, or if we'd have kept Beckford, we'd have gone straight up. You know what I mean? So I understand that them things are attached to it. And I think Leicester and Leeds are really feeling the pressure of what's going on right now. It can happen, mate. It can happen at this stage of the season with 4 games to go. There's nothing stopping Ipswich getting it over both of us. And you'd have to just say fair play to them at this stage. But let's not pretend like they're not having a wobble either. Because Ipswich were poor against Southampton, should have lost. They were poor against Blackburn at their place and should have lost that one as well. I mean, Blackburn had 3 goals ruled out that night. They then lost to Norwich and drew 0-0 against Watford. So, they're not in great form themselves. Be interesting to see what they do today. But if ever they needed motivation,
0-0
They've got it
at the
now.
minute. Yeah, 0-0 against Middlesbrough at the moment. Skip, don't forget, club said it's a 2-year plan. I mean, well, yeah, but I mean, we all saw the financial accounts that were released, I think, yesterday or the day before, and Leeds United still owe £190 million in transfers. They've got 70 million to find this summer for player transfers. So you think what that does to your budget in the Championship, if you stay in the Championship, what do you have to do to find 70 million to pay out and still bring players in? So if we don't go up, I'm not saying we're, it's critical in the sense that, we'd drop all the way down and be fighting relegation or anything like that. But I mean, it's like we've said the whole season. I mean, really, this is our best opportunity to get up. I mean, if we don't go up, Jason, and all that extra pressure from that, there's a financial implication there. We're simply not going to be able to have this quality of squad again to push. Now, we can argue the quality in the league might not be this, the quality in the league next year might not be that, but we don't know for sure, do we? We don't know for sure, but probably we're going to maybe settle as a playoff team more than an actual outright, automatic fighter.
I think that the facts are is we're never going to have as strong as a team as this. No. In terms of the talent on the pitch. I'm not overly concerned about the books and what will happen next season as a consequence of what we spent before, because I think we've probably got £70 million worth of players that are out on loan if you sell them all. You then look at sellable assets. The facts are is Cree's not going to give us another year in this division. He's probably the best part of 30 million quid. You've got half of it there. So I'm not overly concerned about that. More of the fact that we would be in the best position that we could be in the Premier League if we get promoted this season. Because another season behind, we're going to be weaker going into it than we would be this season. That's what concerns me the most, because staying up in itself is a job and a task. I think the Championship will be really weak next season. If I'm honest, Sheffield United are going to be a mess. Luton will go back into mid-table. Burnley will probably fight towards the top. If Forest come down, they're going to be screwed. So we're not going to have Southampton, Leicester and Leeds again. We're not. So I'm not concerned about it from a perspective of having to play Championship football again. More what we can become getting promoted this season with the 49ers and the strength behind us this season getting promoted. Look, we can still go up. We can still go up this season. Yeah. We just got to get it together. There's still winnable games out there. I think, we're still capable of winning these 3 games that we've got to play this season. We are. And
we've got to find something, aren't we?
Yeah, we do.
We've got to kind of find a new, we've got to, there's something's got to happen. I think we've got to get us back. We don't even really look like scoring at the minute. Do you know what I mean? It's just, to be, look, we've had some good chances today, but it just feels like the ball's not going to drop for us at the minute. And I think, maybe, look, we've got a couple of away games. Maybe an away game suit us better.
I think
we are, but maybe without that home pressure, maybe that'll play in our favour.
I think Middlesbrough away especially is a pretty, I think it's a tough game, but I think it kind of suits the situation that we've got. They've got nothing to play for. They need to win games to have a slither of an outside chance of getting in the playoffs, which they won't, but they're going to be far more likely to come out at us. They also can't play Sam Greenwood and Luke Ayling, who both play most weeks. So I do think that that's a game which would suit us more right now. If you're watching the games right now, the games have changed a lot. Today's game is a carbon copy of Sunderland, I thought. We've seen it more and more recently, teams just sitting further and further back. A few weeks ago, they were still low blocking us, but they weren't low blocking us in the same way that they are doing now. And regardless of how good you are, it's very, very difficult to break down teams that just sit 10 players behind the ball. Man City do it week in, week out pretty much. And even they struggle on occasions against a Luton or whoever, because trying to get through 10 players and be that perfect, and they've got the best players in the world. So our biggest problem, I think, again, it was Skip further up mentioned about, are we now seeing the problems we're not having out and out 10. I said it earlier on in the season, and then Gio kind of proved that he could do it. But I think we are now seeing that again. I don't think we have enough creative spark centrally. And
Hernandez did it for us in the last run, didn't he? We remember that last run where he wasn't even fit, were he? He could only do about 45 minutes.
He was coming on and
came on, had the key, unlocked it every game.
We're playing everything out wide, which is easy to defend then because you double up on the players. I mean, like I said, Sam Gallagher's their out-and-out target man striker was playing right back to double up on Somerville. So, you know, like once you get the danger out there, if the ball comes in, you head the ball away. That is quite easy to defend, really, especially when we don't have a target man striker as a big potent number 9 that's in the air that's winning loads of headers. So, yeah, it's become real difficult to break these teams down. Like I was watching it today and I'm thinking, you know, they're trying 1-2 movements and stuff, but everywhere they go, the hole's plugged. So yeah,
difficult, and really difficult when it gets to that. Southampton winning, so they've got a couple of games in hand. They could get to the same amount of points as us, but I mean, who knows with this? Who knows with this season? We just don't know, do we? Let's have a look over the some performances then, Jason. Let's get into the kind of nuts and bolts of it. There were changes to the lineup, which we've kind of touched on. Certainly the first 20, 30 minutes, Jorginho Rutter seemed to be kind of back at his best in terms of beating a player first to the ball, you know, making things happen, but then it kind of faded out after that, didn't it? His influence really waned on the game. And I guess it was kind of, I say no surprise to see him subbed off, but the one thing I would say about Gio is he can pull a moment of magic from anywhere at any point in a game. It could be the 89th minute and he's going to do something crazy. He's going to fight for that ball and somehow create something. But what did you make of his performance today?
Yeah, I text you saying that he was on it first 20 minutes. Looked to be a little bit sharper, releasing the ball a little bit quicker. But then I thought he really petered out of the game, to be honest. I thought it was really disappointing after 30, 35 minutes. Started holding on to the ball too long, started giving it away, it started bouncing off him, lack of concentration. I understood why he was subbed, but I wouldn't have done that change myself. Personally, at that point, I'd have kept Gio and Nonto on for as long as possible. I'd have taken Somerville off because I just didn't think it was his day. He didn't look like he was at it. But what Daniel Farke tried to do was overload the left side. Then he had Nonto, Somerville, and Firpo all going down that side, but it just became so congested. Pirro didn't help Gio's case in because he drops into the spaces. So then it brings another centre back with him, which then it congests Gio's area of influence. Not great, mate. Not great.
No, and I think you've summed it up there. You know, that tactical conundrum that we talked about for large parts of the season with Rutter and Pirro's not helped. Somerville, you touched it on there. Definitely not the best game for him. For me, he's kind of definitely dropped off a little bit. I thought his work rate at Coventry last week was really poor.
I thought he was really poor today, mate. I thought he was really poor today.
I thought the first 20, 30 minutes, I felt like when Firpo or Gio were playing a ball into him, they were kind of kicking it too far away from him and he was having to like launch himself to get control of the ball. I thought they're not helping him here.
Yeah.
But then even after that, decision making, holding onto the ball, there was one, bit where they broke into the area. He could have released the ball to Firpo, but he hangs on to it, and then you've just got a wall of defenders. It was that kind of day. Again, he's one of them, like Rutter, and maybe this is Farke's thinking that, look, this is a guy that can produce moments of magic. We saw it against Watford, that came out of nowhere. For me, though, I would have been tempted to sub him for Anthony. I mean, Anthony for me is like the forgotten man at the moment. I think, the guy's not really getting any kind of opportunity. I think is when you're a manager and you've got a set of players or a player that's done the business for you multiple times in a season, but then it's looking like it's not happening on the day, is there that doubt in their mind when they go, oh yeah, but they could, instead of being kind of, go, right, no, I'm making the change. This is going to happen. Like almost like, at the start of the season, it's almost more experimental, isn't it? You try, we saw a lot more of Anthony earlier in the season, and, you saw this kind of, we're going to try this, we're going to try that. Whereas now it's like locked tight. It's like Somerville, he's going to do the whole thing because he might win you a penalty in the 95th minute. But
I think you're spot on.
As Farker, do you have to kind of go, okay, no, it's not happening. Got to try something else. I mean, it is difficult. It is difficult because if a guy's delivered for you so much and been so brilliant for you, but at the same time, I'm thinking, well, we've got through the entire game. Then Somerville's done, nothing.
Yeah. I think that is exactly it. The facts are is the old saying is form is temporary, class is permanent, right?
Yeah.
And I think Rutter and Somerville have both got this in them, in that even when their form is poor, it is true, by the way. I was checking it while you were chatting. Yeah, Borough 0-0.
Wow.
Don't get excited. Yeah, no, but you can always say that. Like, Ipswich fans will be saying it as well, mate. Ipswich fans will be saying, "Oh, typical, Leeds have lost and we're gonna lose." Like, just chill, right? Let's get upset about it after Southampton. Yeah, they are there to potentially change the game like that, aren't they? In a moment. But yeah, Somerville for me today was. What really disappointed me with him today was he seemed to be losing his head. He seemed to be lacking a bit of effort, if I'm honest. He was losing the ball and weren't chasing back or tracking back in the same ways. He was wanting the ball brought to him, then I'll do something. He wasn't trying to create moments for himself. He's become very predictable.
Yeah.
And sometimes stopping that, Ian Robben, as an example of being the most predictable player you've ever seen, but stopping it,
can't do anything about
it, cut it on his left foot and then whip it in top corner and he'd do it time and time again. He'd be like, because from a defender's point of view, he'd be like, why, do you just not stop him? But he's so good. And Somerville has shown that he's capable of doing that at times, but defenders are sending him inside and then midfielders are just going boom into him like that, and he's got no space to work with him. But what I've been really disappointed in, and I thought this in the last two games, is he's not been finding Firpo doing that overlap to get him to the byline. And I think that's because Somerville's been a little bit greedy. He's like, I want to do it myself.
Yeah.
I want to deliver the assist, or I want to deliver the shot that's going to be the goal. We saw a little bit of that when he scored the penalty, and taking the penalty away at that point, we've all got his opinions on it. I didn't agree with it. He scored, great. But then even the celebration was, it's me. You know what I mean? It's me. Not the team, me. So, yeah, I weren't impressed with him.
No, there's always been accusations about Somerville, hasn't it? I mean, Jesse Marsh.
Me and you have had it, haven't we?
Yeah, I mean, Jesse Marsh has said he was a terrible trainer, and sometimes he's given that impression of me kind of thing, and I'm a baller and all this kind of thing. And I mean, I remember earlier in the season where he got dropped and Anthony came in, and then Somerville next game was like bam. We've seen it with Nonto and James, which I think has beautifully dovetailed. Yeah. It's like one goes out when the other starts to drop off. James has dropped off after the international break. Nonto's come back in. He's hungry. Yeah, and I thought when James came on today, actually James looked a bit sharper.
I agree.
All
of a sudden, was excellent today.
Competition is good. Competition is good. I just think listen. Yes, Somerville's been amazing, but he's also probably been the guy that's played the most. Maybe he's just due for a break as well.
He's not undroppable, mate. He's not undroppable. He's not, because even the best players in the world at times get dropped and have a rest and take them out. Imagine Blackburn had have planned for Somerville all week, and then he don't play. He's on the bench, and he comes on for the last 20 with a point to prove. Because Jayden Anthony and Somerville, just like Nonto and James on the other side, are very different players. Very, very different players. Jayden Anthony doesn't have the pace that Somerville has, but he's probably a bit better than Somerville with the ball in tight spaces. He's really good in slow transitions. Somerville's good when when he's going at players, but Anthony's quite tricky. So yeah, I wouldn't. I'm not saying that I would have dropped Somerville today either, by the way. But I think it's a fair argument to have. And you mentioned Daniel Farke earning his coin over the last three games. It's them kind of decisions going into these last three games and them being correct that are gonna, earn him that crest, earn him the reputation as being the best manager.
Yeah, because I know some criticism of him is, the subs are late. Is he the bravest coach? And I do have question marks myself, even if we go up, is he going to be the right man to kind of, is he of that standard? Is he of that quality? We don't know. I mean, for me, Pirro started today because of the price tag, because, you've paid a lot of money for him. And, you have to try and keep that player happy. He's on a big wage and, comparatively to Joseph. But I don't know. I just think I don't want to say more brave, but just kind of, we're clearly in a situation where we need something a little bit different now. Going forward, Jason, huge game. Again, we've got a little bit of a break now until the next game. I think it's Middlesbrough on the 22nd. That we play, which is the Monday, I think. Is that right? Have I got that right?
We don't play until the Monday.
We don't play till the Monday. So there's probably our biggest gap since the international break now, where we can really just hone it down. I mean, if results go for us today, it's a good start with that so far. Certainly, we're still well within it. Nothing's changed. What do you want to see happen with that starting lineup going forward? What do you want to see happening there?
I'm just going to say on the Daniel Farke thing, I don't think he started Pirro today because of the price tag. Because I think if that was in his thought process, I think he'd have never have dropped him. He's shown the balls, if you like, to go and make them decisions. He's dropped the club captain. He dropped Luke Ayling when Luke Ayling weren't playing well. All these decisions are big managerial decisions to make. I don't think he trusts youth as much as what he makes out he does. And when I'm talking youth, I'm talking really young, because all of our squad's young. Archie Gray's the outlier to that, which then would say I'm wrong, because today makes the decision of dropping Glenn Kamara, who's probably our most experienced player. If you think international player, international competitions, he's played in European Cup finals, SPL major derbies against Celtic. Like he's a big game player, he's Glenn Kamara, and he's 25, 26 year old now. So even that don't make sense. I'm kind of then, contradicting myself. So I can only come to the conclusion that when he sees the way that they train Monday to Friday, he's made the decision that Bamford is the best man for the job at 9, and Pirro is the best to start the game. Because I think he knows that Joseph is good as an impact at the moment. I think that the heir to that grace could be Joseph, but that remains to be seen. I can only come to that conclusion, and only he will know whether he's right or wrong. Only time will tell.
Yeah, I mean, I hope some of the journals have got into him in post match and said,
"Why have you done that? Yeah.
Why have you done that?" Because I would love to know, because it was almost, you could have predicted what we saw there today from the top two, and I think for me that was the big tactical failure today. I really think that. I think the big tactical failure for me was, I thought everything looked almost back to normal, but then you've done the Pirro Rutter thing, and it's just not quite worked.
You know that, and I hate to kind of, and I will come on to what I want to see going into the next game. But if you remember back to Bielsa, and I hate to do this, but it's the same debate, it's the same argument. When Bielsa started Bamford over in Nketiah, fans were screaming for it for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. And then it got announced, didn't it, that Nketiah would... Well, it didn't get announced until after the game, but Nketiah was going to get recalled by Arsenal because he weren't playing enough games. Yeah. And Bielsa started him in the last game before he went back. I forget the game.
Was it Forest?
No, it weren't Forest. Nketiah started the game. We went 1-0 down. We then equalised. And at half-time, Bamford came on. Bamford came on, and I think they might have played together, and we ended up losing 2-1. It was a team in white, Preston or whoever it was. Anyway, go back and have a look, because just to show you that I'm not making this up. In case you start the game, Bamford came on at half time. We ended up equalising, and then we lost 2-1. And from that day on, all fans were like, maybe just Bielsa's right. You know what I mean? And we didn't realise the legend that he maybe would have become at that point. I'm talking about Bielsa there, to then understand why we can't question him. Daniel Farke's going through that right now. You know, these managers, they are stubborn. The very, very best managers are stubborn through everything. They stick to the guns. But it might be, guys, because they are right. Like,
yeah,
we're just armchair managers, aren't we? You know what I mean?
I know. I just, it's an interesting, because I always go back to, I remember when the O'Leary team that we did a special on before, and I remember George Graham just refused to like really blood the youngster. And then O'Leary came, and Smith and all these guys were in, and it really benefited for him. I just think sometimes it's staring you in the face. It's staring you in the face. I think with Joseph, he's ready for me. But look, I don't want to kind of go around in circles. I'm trying to see if Farke's done any post-match comments yet, but I can't actually see anything at the moment, which is, we've been done about an hour, haven't we? So let me have a look and see if Popey's got anything.
5 minutes, yeah.
And there, well, John Eustace, he said, without the ball, we had a game plan. We knew they took more risks as the game went on. It was a quality goal. It wasn't it? Their goal.
It was a good goal. It was a really good goal.
It was
Browney, but it was poor defensively. It was really poor defensively.
Yeah.
The header is fine. You're going to have a target man win a flick on every now and again. Sam Gallagher's a really good striker when it comes to being that man to kind of be the foil. But then if you watch it back, the three, Roberts, I think it was Roberts still on the pitch at that time, whoever were playing right back anyway, Ampadu and Rodon get themselves in a right mess. They all gravitate towards the ball. Smodix peels off the back post. It's a great finish. Melly can't do anything with that. He puts it back the way that it's coming. It was a nice goal. Smodix is a top player, top player. Just going into next week, right? For me, I would like to see. I would probably like to see Nonto start again. I would like to see. 100%. I'd probably like to see Glenn Kamara back in the middle. I weren't impressed with Archie today, mate. I weren't. I didn't think he dictated the game as well as Glenn did.
You don't see him as much, do you?
You don't.
His ability is like Kamara is there. You always
he's popping up. He's helping Gruev out of tight spaces, helping the centre backs out of tight spaces. That it goes under the radar, but that little half step that he does, it opens up so much space for him to be able to allow him to get himself out. We don't have a lot of creativity in the central midfield spaces, but what we do have comes through Glenn Kamara. So I'd like to see him back in. I'm not bothered really whether Archie or Connor Roberts starts at right back. I think they're both capable of doing a good job there. I think Connor is probably a little bit better at getting beyond Nonto, but I think Archie's maybe a little bit better defensively. But Connor Roberts, fantastic tackle at the back post today. We should have been behind before the goal. Yeah. I know. So, and Bamford comes back in, mate. He comes back in, and if I could ask of anything, just the fans to get behind the boys and get behind him and the rest of them. Like, they still can do this. Look what's happening to Ipswich, and Ipswich might go on to win today. They still might go on to win today, but this isn't just a Leeds thing. It's happening to all three of us. And have they? I was laughing at Southampton the other day. Like some fans saying, "Oh yeah, we stand a chance." Given the results today, they now do. They are back in it now, and they've got nothing to lose. So they're a really dangerous opposition right now. Because if they keep winning, they've got Leicester to play. Now, them playing Leicester is what kind of gives me some comfort, because I'm hoping they can beat Leicester. And then hopefully we get our acts together and we can take the points that we need. But what we're saying about us, in that if we'd have just won this game and we'd be 6 points clear, they're also saying the same thing about themselves. Yeah, so let's just keep us heads. Fingers crossed we can just get over the line. It's about just getting over the line right now.
Are you surprised by how off the rails it's got since the international break? Are you, when that international break happened and we came back, we talked, didn't we, about Watford and Hull, that back-to-back game, that could be actually where if we'd have got 6 points, we might have won the league, and I think you look back now and you go, yeah, probably actually, if we'd have got back-to-back wins, then we'd have been flying. Are you surprised by how far it's dropped off since then? Whether you talk about results, performances, are you surprised that it's actually got to a stage where we've won 1 in 5 and we look,
a little bit for all of us. But I saw somebody else mention this. I don't want to be kind of the person to say that this is the thing, but I think we're Lockie on Joe's stream. We are now seeing all of the teams kind of peter into maybe what would have been a full season's performance. Because, if you'd have stretched these losses out over the season, if we'd have lost Blackburn 3 months ago, nobody would be kind of questioning it. And if we'd have ended up on 87 points by, having a couple more drops throughout the season or 88 points, you'd be saying, what a fantastic season. But now we're looking at all three of these teams going through this rough patch and we're saying, oh, they're falling off. You know what I mean? It's just because they're coming together. But there's so much that makes up this stage of the season. Birmingham are beating Coventry right now. Birmingham have looked awful, and Coventry have arguably looked one of the most formed teams in the division. These results happen at this stage of the season. So Millwall beating Leicester midweek, Plymouth beating them last night. Like, they happen. But yeah, I am surprised. And Slink, just to respond to your comment there, I'm not applauding Bamford. Please listen to what I've said over the hour. Don't just listen to the pocket of Bamford needs to start on Monday. Because the facts are he does. Yeah, he's our best available number 9. We don't have another replacement for him right now. And it's, in my opinion, in the opinion of the manager, and I think if you look at the logics attached to everything, with 3 games to go, 2 of them away, is it the right time to throw in Mateo Joseph, who is arguably our only impact number 9 off the bench? Because if Bamford comes off the bench, he doesn't impact the game. So.
I can understand that argument. I mean, if Joseph starts for me, I'd be absolutely fine with that. What I would like to see is if it's Bamford back in the team, I don't want an 83rd minute sub. I don't want an 87th minute sub. I want a 60th minute sub. Get Joseph on. If it's this kind of thing again, where we don't look like scoring, get it on earlier. But it's more than just that. I mean, this is something intangible now. This is pressure. This is where the ball's not falling for you. This. We're in another. I mean, to even try and reduce it to being about Bamford is ridiculous because it's just so much bigger than that.
Just on that as well, right? The worst substitution that happened today, and Daniel Farke was responsible for this, was Gruev. He brought Gruev off. Yeah, 2 minutes later, they scored because he occupies that space again. So it made no sense. And he did it against Sunderland too. We ended up playing Nonto and Perot at centre midfield. Like, what the hell is that all about? And today it was, I want to say it was Byram and Perot, I think. Yeah. I don't know.
But I think by that time I was like so stressed I couldn't even take note of who was playing where. I was just like, why are we losing? Why is this happening? Ipswich have equalised in their game against Middlesbrough. So
I think they'll go on to win the league now. If I'm honest. I think Ipswich will win the league.
Yeah, I mean, if it stays like that, they've got 2 points over Leeds. Leicester are a point above Leeds, but they've got a game in hand. If Ipswich win today, if Leicester win their game in hand, then they've really got away from us. Big ifs, of course. Do you know what makes it extra gutting is the fact that we pulled it back from this huge deficit. To pull it back from such a huge deficit, and you kind of go, well, yeah, pats on the back all round because look what we did. It's amazing. We were unbeaten for so long. But then for it to all go wrong in the last 6 games, I mean, it's just... And I think if we're in the playoffs, I don't see us going up from the playoffs. I just don't. I think mentally, to have done what we've done and then to still have to face the playoffs, I'm not sure about that. And I think also the players are showing that when the pressure is really on, and does it get much harder and bigger than the playoffs in terms of pressure? Will they be able to come through that? I'm not sure. I'm really not sure.
I don't know. I mean, making a prediction on the playoffs is almost impossible. It's far easier to say that we won't do it than we will do it because there's another 3 teams trying to win it. There's 3 games of football that can all go all over the place. you know, we've shown ourselves to be better against the better teams this season. I will say there is a caveat to that, with the exception of Southampton and West Brom, which are both teams that we could end up playing in the playoffs. We've obviously got Southampton yet to play, but we beat Norwich twice, and we would likely play against them in the semis at least. I'm not concerned about the playoffs until we get there. At the end of the day, it's a booby prize to what we've achieved this season. Would we have preferred to have been 17 points behind at this stage of the season, Brownie? No. You know, yeah, sure, there's a tinge of disappointment to the fact that we've closed that gap and then potentially we won't then make it back up. But that still says a lot to this young team that they've managed to achieve that. The one team that really would suffer in the playoffs is Leicester.
Yeah.
Because to lose that 17-point gap and then not get over the line at all and have to go into the playoffs, I think that's very difficult for them. Very, very difficult for them. I think for Leeds, like, if you take the emotion aside away from it, we were 17 points behind. We did have a whole host of issues in the summer. We do have an extremely young team. You know, we did have a blip towards the end of the season when we really could have done without it, and we ended up having to settle for third. I still would fancy us in the playoffs, as much as I don't like them. I don't want them. You know, anything can happen. But I would still have confidence, and I would back Ipswich to the hilt to win them. I would. Yeah. If Ipswich are the ones that drop out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll keep a close eye on what happens. I mean, if we thought we were going to get any kind of reprieve or easy route to getting back to the Premier League, it's certainly not happening at all. Any kind of final thoughts, Jason, before we pack up? Anything else you want to get dealt with before we go?
I'm gutted today. I am gutted today. I thought we'd win today. I mean, we've lost the undefeated record at home with one more home game to play, which I think is a real shame. To have gone all season at home unbeaten is a big shame. To not get it over the line today for Stewie, I thought is also a big shame. It'd have been nice for him and his family to kind of remember the day for being fully positive rather than, but we lost, because I know that's what he'll be thinking. I don't think that the players didn't try. I don't think it was a lack of effort. I think Blackburn came with a game plan that the longer the game went on, the more the minutes ticked, the more it became difficult. I think if we score early or score in the first half, I think it's a completely different game again. But we've said that time and time and time again. It goes on, doesn't it? It goes on. But if we don't do enough to get over the line, I still think it's been a good season. We're still going to finish on probably over 90 points this season. I have a hard time seeing that as a disaster. We've seen, you know what I mean? We've seen with Leicester and Ipswich at this stage of the season that we're all struggling to pick up wins.
I think it's that mixed thing, isn't it? It's that mixed thing because, it will have been a tremendous season and, but we failed in our goal to get promoted. That will be the thing, you see. But I totally get what you mean. It's hard to slam them. It's hard to be overly critical because what they've put together has been astounding. It's been how many weeks where we were just, doing these post-match reviews. It's another win. It's another win. It's another win. We did it for week after week. And certainly, 12 months ago when we were in the Premier League, it was the polar opposite. So, we've got to respect that.
The other thing to remember as well, Brownie, is Ipswich are a massive outlier in this season. So, and I know Southampton have got 2 games in hand, right? Southampton have got 2 games in hand, so they could catch us and we've got to play them, right? But if we were sat with Ipswich where they, quote unquote, should be sat, let's just say they survive comfortably, they're 10th in the league, right? We would be, us and Leicester, be in a title battle now for first and both bottling the title a little bit.
Yeah.
But we'd be sat 9 points clear of Southampton.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, that being said, and Ipswich have done incredibly, but that's the level of what we've achieved this season. It'll be hard to see it like that should we miss out on the top 2, but that's the reality of the situation.
Yeah.
I don't think Southampton will win enough games to catch us. I think given the amount, I think we need to get 5 points. I mean, that was including today, so I did think we'd win today. But I think we need to get 5 points for them to not even be able to catch us, even if they win all the games. Yeah. So, but it's doable now because they've got us to play and they've got Leicester to play. So it's a bit of a.
We always wondered about that. Well, we always wondered about that last home game, didn't we, against Southampton? Will there be anything riding on it? And he thought, a few games ago, it was like, no, there won't be. But now I'm looking at it going, God, I hope they're not fighting for something as well, because they're a real step up from what we've seen.
They've got nothing to lose, have they, mate?
No.
But they've still got to win a lot of games in a row to get to that situation. And they might do it. They're good enough to do it.
They might do it, yeah. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? This season as well. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if there was some kind of story like that where they turn it around. Interesting what you said about the Stuart Dallas thing as well, because you look for omens, don't you, in these kind of runs? You look for things, and when he was in the meeting with the players and he announces his retirement, and then he's like, just get it done, just give everything and get it done. I really felt like, yeah, we're going to do it for Stu. It's like, oh God, we've lost the first game after he's retired. It's but it's football. It's what happens. It were never going to be straightforward. Certainly not with Leeds involved. And
we could take 6 from 6 now, Brownie. We could take 6 from these 2 away games, and it all looked totally different. Southampton have got Preston midweek. I think Leicester and Ipswich both play before us next weekend. We'll kind of know the landscape. Do Ipswich play twice this week?
Ipswich have got they play Hull on. Hang on, where are we looking at Ipswich? Ipswich don't play then until the 27th of April.
Right, yeah. So Ipswich have got 2 weeks off after today, right?
2 weeks off.
Because we play Monday and Friday, and then we only have 1 game left when they've got 3.
Yeah. And then
that's right, isn't it?
Coventry and Huddersfield Town.
And they've got Hull, haven't they? Hull next weekend. The next time they play 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks' time. Leicester, what are Leicester doing? So Leicester have got West Brom next weekend. Southampton on the Tuesday.
Yeah. Ipswich don't play Coventry because of the FA Cup, right? That's what it is. Yeah. So then it's been pushed back into the midweek, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And then, Preston away and Blackburn at home. Well, we'll see, won't we? God almighty, it's going to be something else in it this end of the season. Bloody hell. Well, I want to thank everyone for leaving your comments as well. I know we didn't read many of them. It's just been one of those streams where we've just wanted to get it off his chest. But we really
all opinions as well, guys. Like, I understand that I might be quite strongly spoken in some of mine, but ultimately it all comes down to just wanting to support the lads. And get behind the lads as much as possible and try not to lose his heads, because I just think it doesn't. It certainly doesn't help us as fans, and it doesn't help the players. But yeah, I understand the disappointment tonight. I do. Yeah. I thought tonight were a banker. It felt like a must-win to me. But there you go.
Yeah. Hopefully, let's see what Middlesbrough can do second half. Maybe it'll feel a little less damaging. But yeah, every point's vital at this stage. But yeah, if you want to get your comments in, if you're watching this video again later, please like the video as well and subscribe to the channel as well for more content. And our other clubs across West Yorkshire. We'll be back on Monday night. Well, we're going to have to talk about this game again, Jason. Can't wait. So do tune in then. I've been Stephen Brown. With me has been Jason Booker. Jason, thank you very much.
Thank you, mate.
And we'll see you again soon there.